kayak, get yourself one. Fish on!
Yeah! Oh my God! Look at that tank!
That's a toad, brother.
Golly!
All right, so before we jump into today's video, I gotta thank the folks at Ocean City, Maryland for making this series possible. Guys, we're gonna be having a big event next year in Ocean City, Maryland. Check out kayakbassfishing.com/rally for more details. So to do this video, I'm gonna enlist the help of our good buddy Dean from OC Kayak to talk about this boat. But this time we're gonna flip the script. I'm gonna talk about my thoughts. Come on in here, Dean.
All right.
I'm gonna talk about my thoughts a little bit first, and then we're gonna let Dean do the walkthrough, because when I mentioned wanting to do a review of this kayak, he literally lit up like a Christmas tree. Dude, I've been fishing out of this boat, right? This is not the face you would expect to be fishing off of a inflatable. Foo-foo colored, you know, stand-up paddleboard, kayak, hybrid thingamajigger. But I'll tell you what, when I saw this thing at ICAST, I was really impressed. I had the ability to jump on it during the ICAST demo day. Here's the three things I like about it the most. It's lightweight, it's shippable, so you could ship it if you have to, and it's simple, okay? Those are the three major things. So really running from bow to stern, there's not a lot. You got a bungee in the front, you got a handle in the front. It's 3 chambers. It comes with the standard Hobie Mirage drive. You can upgrade it to the 180 drive. Talking about it before we started filming, Dean's like, you could, but it's so maneuverable, you don't really need to. The seat is very impressive for an inflatable strap down or strap on type seat where you strap it onto the top of the boat. And I was really amazed at how responsive it was. Now, I didn't actually get to pedal the 11. I got to do the 9. And I was right at the weight capacity on it, and it still performed super well. But coming on back to the back, I'm just going to tell you what I was most impressed. I don't really have any nose for this thing, because if you're going to do a lightweight inflatable fishing kayak SUP hybrid, you don't want to overdo it. And I don't think Hobie overdid it, but they did do some really cool things like these little bungee tie downs that hold your pull cord or your rudder. And what's also cool about it is, we've talked about in the other Hobie videos that we did, we love the fact that you can have steering on both sides, but to keep it simple, you couldn't do that on this, but you can take this lever and move it to whichever side you prefer. And again, you've got the ability to strap it down right built into the hull. But this like two-way pull rudder, let me line it up first.
I'll line it up, yeah.
The two-way pull, where you basically just pull it to stow it and pull it to deploy it, is super clever, super convenient. And again, this is not the thing you're going to want to put a 16x16 black pack with 150 pounds in it. You're not going to want to carry 15 rods, but 2-3 rods, a gear management system, and you're going to get out there for a fun day of fishing. I had the pleasure of fishing with a good buddy of mine, Ryan, who used to be a rep for several kayak companies, and I used to work at the other OC Kayak, which is or OK Kayak, Oklahoma. And he was using this thing on the river in Illinois and was just zipping around. Yep. I was super impressed. But Dean, I'm going to turn it over to you, man. There's not a lot to talk about. I don't really have any nose. The pros are that it's a pedal drive inflatable, which is cool. The other pros are it packs down. You can ship it. You can take it on an airplane. And you just don't need a lot. So, man, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you do the walkthrough of the boat, the things that I might not know about, the things that you want to point out to these folks that are considering this kayak SUP. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a watercraft that you can fish from. So, man, talk to these folks about this iTrek 11.
Absolutely. Chad hit it right on the head, as usual. It's the lightweight portageability and a great stable craft. At 10 foot 8 inches long, 40 inches wide, and a weight capacity of 400 pounds, it does meet the standards of most everybody. Very simple kayak. I will go from the bow to the stern real quick because it's going to take about 2 minutes, but I do want to touch on a few things, and that is, he did mention that this comes with the MD drive, which is just the basic Mirage drive. That is true. It does come up with the kick-up fins. However, it is compatible to all the other drives except for the 360. Does it need any upgrade? I'm going to again go with Chad on this, and that is, it does not. Because in my use, it turns so fast with that rudder that you really don't even need reverse. Could you use it? Absolutely. So with that being said, the rudder is super responsive. This kayak is super duper light, around 28 pounds when it's stripped, around 40 pounds total. So it's a very light kayak, and I believe it's 44-ish around that when it's totally weighed out. So starting from the bow, it's got a good little nylon hand grip, a bungee cord for stowing away some, you know, basic stuff. If you've got a dry bag or if you want to stow away some, you know, gear, you have the ability to do it. The drive right here, as we mentioned, you know, one direction drive, but all you need on this inflatable. Again, I think Chad already touched on it, but there is a center chamber in this and then 2 side chambers, which gives it a 3-chamber inflatable kayak or hybrid, as he touched on, SUP. Coming back to the seating is great. I don't have too much issues with this when I'm on it fishing. The only thing I have noticed is that it's an inflatable. You still feel like you're on an inflatable. It's still not a hard kayak. I think it has its position in the kayak world, but it's not going to be the perfect fishing vessel, and I'll say this lightly. If you are going to board fish on this inflatable, you do have to be a little careful. I have boarded a rockfish recently on mine and had a few little fin pin pricks in through this marine mat. I would hope that in the future, Hobie looks into this and maybe steps up a different type of marine mat, maybe back to the old school harder rubber, and that would maybe give them a better chance of boarding fish on this deck. Because if you do plan to board a fish on the deck, that's where you're vulnerable. I have had it happen. So I want that to be clear. I don't want fishermen to come back to me later on and say, Dean, I bought this inflatable and you said it was great for fishing. And then the first fish I put on it, the fin pops a hole in it. It can happen. So what we want to know is, or we want you to know is that if you're going to board a fish on this deck, you can either maybe use a substitute mat or something to cover up this deck before you lay it flat.
So one of the things that I do, like you guys are doing right now if you're watching this video, is I do a lot of research on boats by watching YouTube videos and doing reviews and things like that. And there was a guy that river fishes out of this thing, and I apologize. I'll try to find this video and link it up in the description box to give him credit. But he actually traced out this pad with a piece of PVC, thick PVC like you make rafts or what do you call them, sleeping pads out of. And he literally just used epoxy and just put that over the top of it. He literally traced the exact pad. He put it over. And another good idea that he had is he kept it real simple. So he actually put a little groove thing similar to this in these tracks and epoxied them in place so he could lay his rods in there. He only carries 3 rods, 1 on each side and 1 in his hand. And then he trades them out. And then the little gel things that you put on the dash of your car so your cell phone can sit on it, he actually glued 3 of them to the bottom of his tackle box so that when he set it underneath, it just gripped that pad that he made. So what he did is he literally just took the seat off, traced that pad out on some cardboard, crossed it over to this heavy vinyl, durable vinyl.
Yep.
Actually, I think what it was linoleum, like flooring.
Yeah.
And then glued it over the top of the pad. It didn't look that great, but again, it accomplished what he was trying to do. But if you're careful when you're bringing the fish on board, if you're doing your due diligence, you don't flip a big rockfish up there like this guy's doing, or a redfish with a big old fin, you're not going to have to worry about it. And if you're catching bass for the most part, you probably don't have to worry about it as much. But like you said, if you're fishing muskie or pike or big rockfish, redfish, you know, sheep's head, anything that has a big dorsal fin, then that's big catfish is another one.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have a problem. But for the most part, you're probably not, but that is a good point. And again, I'll try to find that video, but that guy just glued linoleum over it.
And again, I didn't have any issue. I'd actually, just to touch on this, it didn't ruin my day, although I thought it was going to. It was a slow enough leak that the PSI leaked very slowly. I ended up fishing for 2.5 hours and never had an issue. When I got back, I felt a little bit of a sponginess to it.
Now, one trick you can use with inflatables is actually carry a bag of screws with you. And I know this is going to sound crazy.
Yes.
But all you do is take a little bag, put it on the back of your seat, and put 3 or 4 different size self-tapping screws. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but all you do is take that screw and find the right size for the hole and screw it into the hole, and it will literally work like a, you know when you got a nail in your tire, you don't want to pull it out until you get to the service station? It will work in a pinch to get you home. A lot of people will put the screw in there and then put a piece of Gorilla Tape or something over the top of it just to keep it from catching, and it's going to get... I got to be honest with you guys, I've used inflatable boats like the old NRS boat that I used to have, where I screwed the screw in there, put the tape over it, forgot about it, and it was that way for the rest of the time I owned that boat. But anyway, bring us on back to the back, Dean, and talk about the rest of the boat.
And again, you know, we talked mainly about the fishing side of this. I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because I do fish it, and Chad also made a good point. One of the lack of things that you have on this boat is that you don't have rod holders in front of you. So usually we complement the back area with an H-crate or some kind of black pack, something where we can stow those rods away. Because as Chad alluded to, you're gonna have a rod in your hand a lot of times when you're fishing from this vessel. So again, it is a fishable kayak. I just wanted to be very clear that if you're boarding fish on it, be careful, because it is an inflatable. We have to have that in people's minds that, you know, they just can't be careless and throw a fish up on top of it.
But man, when you really talk about it, you got a 13-inch black pack. This thing might work perfect for that. And then if you want to carry an extra tackle box like you talked about up here, you just slide it up under your bungee. It holds it in place. Yeah. This is not the thing that you're going to go with a tournament loadout. This is more that sneaky spot fishing, getting into those places.
Jumping in, jumping out.
Honestly, what we all got into kayak fishing for in the beginning, in my opinion.
Me too.
This actually gives you access to a lot of those places that other people are not willing to do the work to get to. But
That's right.
Take us on back.
And I like to, no, I agree. That's the reason why it's on my vehicle this year is because of what Chad just said. It's lightweight, it's portable. I can lift it. I'm 49 now, so I'm not as young as I used to be. So when I grab this kayak, I can grab it literally with two hands, throw it on top of my car, strap it down. I leave it inflated. I rarely deflate mine, so I carry it just like it is. And it's just a simple vessel to get in and out. I'm not going to elaborate long on anything here, but we got bungee gearing for the back, so any of the back tank well you can attach gear to. Like we said, crates to, whatever you choose. Fish bags, cooler bags, we could use them as well. And then back here, we'll just touch on where the valves are for these inflatables. There are 3 of them, as we kind of talked about earlier. There's 3 valves. 1 chamber for this, 1 chamber for the middle, 1 chamber for the outside. So that's where you would inflate them and deflate them as well.
And again, raving about this rudder again, it's also just got this little pull pin.
Yes.
And it just pops off for, you know,
very easy
connecting and disconnecting. So pros and nos, okay? Pros, lightweight.
Yes.
Easy to carry, easy to transport. So Dean, from the get-go, how long do you think, or maybe you timed it, how long did it take you for your initial setup? You said you pretty much leave yours inflated.
Yeah.
But if you're taking it out of the bag, how long does it take to get it fully inflated?
We did this and we timed it. We were done in less than 9 minutes.
Okay.
From out of the bag, totally inflated.
So sub 10 minutes, you're pretty much ready to fish. Again, one of the no's that we've got to talk about is durability. This is not one of those things you're just going to mindlessly throw tools down, throw hooks down, throw fish down.
Bang against oysters, pilings.
Things like that. But so you have to be mindful of that a little bit. The biggest pro for me, though, is it's got really big access to lots of places that are harder to access. One no for me, though, and I just got to mention it, I'd be remiss if I didn't, is I hate things that are mounted permanently that prevent me from being able to change it.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I really don't like about this boat out of the bag is it's a kayak. They call it an iTrek kayak, but they sell it with a SUP paddle. I wish they would just go to the 2-piece.
They should.
Double-bladed paddle, so that's something else you got to think about. Most of us that are going to be investing in this already have a paddle, but they sell it with a SUP paddle. I really wish you had the choice, or if they just didn't include the paddle and let you buy your own paddle after the fact.
Which you'll notice I put a kayak paddle on because I kayak it as well.
Exactly, but other than that, you got to get real picky to find something to pick about on this boat.
I love it. I just love it. 10.8, 40 inches wide, 400-pound capacity. It pretty much has everything you need, and for skinny water, really can't ask for much more.
And one thing that I really liked about it is something that I complain about on most pedal drive kayaks is you've got a really good seat height to pedal angle. It's so comfortable. You never feel unstable, even though you got a lot higher seat position. And I've even seen a couple of guys that put PVC stagers on this thing, raise it up even a little bit higher. I wouldn't recommend you do that. But these pontoons make this thing stupid stable.
They do.
I'm looking forward to getting this thing out on the water. Dean, as always, thanks
pleasure,
again.
Chad.
One last thing to point out, like I've been doing in all my videos, it advertises a 400-pound total capacity, but that's everything. You're really looking at more of about 275-pound usable capacity, and that's going to keep you within the rating of the seat as well. So think about that before you make the purchase. Guys, do me a favor. Tell me what you think about inflatable kayaks in general. I think the pendulum in the industry is swinging back towards lighter weight kayaks, more manageable kayaks, because a lot of us OGs or old guys are getting older, and that pendulum is swinging in the other direction. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.